I'm standing in the control room of my brand new professional recording studio that I built almost 100% myself with the help of my wife and my 84-year-old dad. It's about 3/4 of the way through construction, so I thought this was a great place to take you on a tour of all the little details. It started out as an old garage, and the first thing I did was to open it up and make this big live room. I wanted lots of natural light, and I wanted it to be warm and inviting for bands to come in and feel at home. I've worked in a lot of different studio setups over the years, and for this one, I wanted a separate, isolated control room. This control room started out as an old carport, and it had some pretty trash concrete. We fixed that up and built it up from there. The first thing I want to show off is this big, beautiful control room window. It's made out of a piece of salvaged partition glass that I got for about 20 bucks, and it's probably worth about 1,000. We custom built this frame for it with a slight angle. It was quite an adventure getting this heavy piece of glass installed with my dad. For isolation, there's a double wall with an air gap between the control room and the live room. The double walls are made out of 2x6 construction with rock wool insulation. On the outsides of that is a layer of 3/4 inch plywood, and on top of that is a layer of 5/8 inch drywall. All of the seams in between have been caulked with acoustic sealant. Ultimately, there will be another layer of glass on the live room wall as well. There's actually a third layer of wall in the control room, which is built-in acoustic treatment and bass trapping. There's a bit of an airspace behind that as well. All these walls will be covered in canvas like we've started to do over here on this wall. The corners here will be wooden slot resonators. Those will go from floor to ceiling, and they'll provide broadband bass trapping. There's also a similar unit above the window. For heating and cooling, we have a mini split system, as well as a fresh air system that will exhaust stale air over here and bring in fresh air up here. Here's a really cool detail. All the outlets will be this surface mount style, like this one right here. So instead of a huge hole in the wall letting air and sound through, you have a much smaller penetration that you can easily seal with acoustic sealant. The whole control room is symmetrical. Where there's a glass door on this side, opposite that is a hard surface over here that I created with pegboard. The pegboard is great because since it's perforated, I can still have bass trapping behind it. I will definitely build some ceiling clouds overhead with built-in lighting. The desk location will be right here, and there's extensive conduit running underneath all the floors. You can get from the back of the desk to the back of this room, the side of this room, the kitchenette, the back of the live room, the foyer/vocal booth, and even into the closet in the bathroom. So we'll be able to isolate speaker cabs out there, do all kinds of things, and put mics in all kinds of different places around the studio. The floor itself needed to be floated just for thermal insulation purposes. So there's concrete, insulation, floor joists, and then this wooden subfloor on top. The last cool thing I want to talk about in the control room is all the natural light in here. We really focused on isolating between the rooms instead of isolating between the studio and the outside world. We're out here in the woods, so it's relatively quiet and we don't have to worry about disturbing any neighbors. So let's continue to this kitchenette, which also serves as a sound lock between the control room and the live room. This will have a fridge, counter, sink, cooktop, all that good stuff for our guests. The other thing I want to point out in here is the ductwork for the fresh air system. Comes out of the control room and goes up into this loft up here. It's all this flexible ductwork, which is really good for isolating sound between the rooms. Here's another fun thing to talk about. We have this salvage door from a chiropractor's office, and that's a huge thing about this studio. Almost everything here is salvaged, used, reclaimed materials. It's about the only reason we've been able to do this whole project cash. The foyer you're in right now will also double as a vocal isolation booth. You can close these doors and have even like an acoustic guitar and singer in there, and they'll be relatively isolated from a full band out here. The bathroom right here is actually relatively complete. This was a huge adventure, jackhammering out the floor for days and days, trying to get the drain lines down to the septic. We're building a lot of the door frames from scratch to fit these salvaged commercial doors. So please excuse the mess. The live room is an active construction site. We're right in the middle of wall insulation out here at this point, which took a long time to get to because before you do that, you have to be really sure what you want to put in the walls. We've got all the outlets in, and I want to do things like put speakers up here on this wall for the bands to hear a mix back on, as well as a TV over the windows so they can see what's on my computer screen as well. Again, there's lots of beautiful natural light out here. There's a sliding glass door with a view of a trail off into the woods, as well as a fire pit out there. It's going to be a lot of fun out here in the summer. With only partial insulation in here, you can see some of the details like the acoustic sealant on all the seams of the sheathing and framing. So no, these are not $10,000 in custom Andersen windows. These are salvaged insulated window sashes that I made new cedar frames for, and they're working out amazing. These windows face south and these windows face west, so we're getting this great passive solar heating in the winter months like right now. It's really nice and warm in here. Pretty much the only thing we did subcontract was the spray foam of the roof deck. That came out awesome and it's working great. One more cool thing is this little loft up here. It's going to be like a lounge sitting area as well as like a bunk room for people who want to come in from out of town and stay overnight. I have been working on this place for years now and it feels like it's never going to end. So what I had to do was give myself a deadline. I started booking bands, so I have to get this place finished in the next few months, get these bands in here and start making music again. So anyway, I have one more thing I want to show you. Unfortunately, I have no other place to put this but out in a dusty construction site under a blanket, but I finally have a 2-inch tape machine, 24 track. It's beautiful. We're gonna have so much fun with this. I cannot wait. Anyway, thanks so much for coming on this tour with me. If you have any suggestions on studio design, building, construction, all that stuff, leave them in the comments for me. And if you have any interest in seeing more videos on the whole building process, let me know. That could be fun too. So until then, wish me luck, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.